Drawing is just like anybody can do. Drawing is an acquired skill. A lot of people are like, oh no, you gotta have talent. Like, no, you don't. Like, anyone can learn how to draw.
You
Anybody.
just work at it.
Exactly.
Welcome to an episode of the Master Student Tutorials, where I learn how to do art from the people who are awesome at it. I'm Allison, and I am the student, and with me is Master Joe Hogan.
I think Master is a very generous title, but
No.
Knight, Jedi Knight. Maybe not Jedi Master here.
Hey, it's my show. I get to call what I wanted.
All right, I guess I can't argue with that. Thank you for having me, Allison. So, I'm going to assume you already know how to make a new layer in Photoshop.
I'm using...
Well, that's good. So now what I usually do when I'm sketching, you see how I have black selected as the color. I typically go to blue, just because it's from early sketching days where, you can use that nice light blue pencil and then darken it later on.
Okay.
But that's just a personal preference. Don't feel like you have to do that. So, all right, we can get right into the basic steps on doing a clone trooper if you want. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit because I like to get up in its business. And I'm gonna start out real easy with the basic circle. You can be as messy as you want because I can never draw a perfect circle on the proof.
For people who are interested in knowing, what are you using to draw? What?
I am using a Cintiq 21UX. It's an older model. Basically, it's one of those monitors that act as a drawing tablet. So I'm actually drawing directly on my screen. So we're gonna, nice and easy, just gonna have a line go straight across. If you're like me, you can hold shift. And if you want that perfect straight line, because I always have a hard time, I'm always like, over here, nope.
Oh yes,
so
shortcuts are good. So tell me shortcuts.
So the straight line right down the middle. Yeah, so if you press and hold and then hit shift and drag, you're gonna get that straight line.
Okay.
It's gonna be perfectly straight.
Cool.
All right, but that's just for sketching. When you're actually like trying to do serious lines, I would say use the line tool over here on that left side.
Okay.
But for now, we're gonna do it this way. Okay, so you have that, right? You have your line going across.
It's all good.
All right, so now we're gonna have a little rectangle up here. Oh, doesn't have to be perfect. Don't mind that piracy thing. No, it's actually not. It's actually not true. This is my third Windows 7 key that I paid for legally, and this thing keeps like 3 months. Every 3 months, it's like, oh, this is pirated. This isn't real. So I get that weird little annoying.
So you're not actually a pirate.
I used to, but those days are over. Now you're gonna have this line go under that line, and have these little two go down here. And what I normally do is I have the line going down to right about where the bottom of that circle is gonna be.
Okay.
Right? And then I'm gonna go in with one of these, and one of these, and one of those, and then one of those. So now we have that T visor starting to
I'm recognizing this.
take shape a little bit.
Yep.
Have that indent over there. And now this part's a little tricky. I call it the upside down boomerang. And so I have a little trouble getting it right sometimes. Sometimes it looks good, but not always. So get the little chin going in there. Okay. And then typically it's gonna look correct-ish, but we'll see. We'll see, because I'm doing it pretty quick. Since I'm doing this by myself, apparently.
You know what? I have to be focused on asking you the questions that viewers I want to know. So just chill, Joe. Just chill.
That's real convenient.
I'll do it later.
Real convenient.
That's why we're recording this, so I can do it later.
We'll do it live. Well, good old Bill O'Reilly.
Okay. This is looking familiar.
Yeah, so hopefully by now things are starting to make a little bit of sense. I mean, what we're going for. It's good to erase for, darkening your lines later. I don't know if it's quite perfect, but...
Well, this is why it's a sketch.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good call.
It's not supposed to be perfect. If it's perfect, you're doing something wrong.
Right. I agree. Okay, so you were about to ask me something before I made an obnoxious comment about being perfect. You said, so are you.
Are you drawing a specific clone? You going for a specific one?
I can if you want. I'm more than happy to.
Yes.
All right, cool.
I don't know which one. Which one do you want to do?
I'll do Fordo. Fordo's my favorite.
Of course. Why did I even ask? Joe's favorite
I don't know.
clone.
I don't know why you did.
Yeah.
You should tell the folks about the micro series because you just watched it for the first time.
I just watched the micro series from 2003, right?
Yes.
Yeah. For the first time because Joe made me. He was very upset when he found out that I hadn't seen it yet. And it's kind of awesome. And Fordo is in it, but he's not named, right?
Right. They didn't give him a name until later. Yeah, I think actually, you know the magazine Star Wars Insider?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure they're the ones that did it.
Okay.
Like the official Star Wars magazine.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, they just decided we're gonna name this guy.
I have to go and watch that series again because it was really cool and I'm sure I missed even more cool things that happened. I just loved that they showed all the different Jedi and they made Fordo now. I see why you like him so much. I see it.
Good.
He's kind of
I'm
awesome.
glad.
And
He's super awesome.
You liked him so much that you actually did something special with him, Joe. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in 2012, I think it was, I'm pretty sure, I had been doing a little bit of work with James Arnold Taylor, who, as you know, is the voice actor of Obi-Wan Kenobi from...
I do know that.
You are familiar with the name.
Greetings. This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Sorry, from the Clone Wars series.
From the 2008 series, but also that series, micro series.
Yeah.
So I think that was his second time being Obi-Wan. Pretty sure his first time was being Obi-Wan in the Revenge of the Sith video game. If I remember.
I love that guy. He's so good.
He's the man, and like he's such like a nice dude. And so I had done some work for his one-man stage show called Talking to Myself. And once I finished with all the work he needed from me at that time, I basically built up the courage to be like, hey James, can I have Obi-Wan in my motion comic and do his voice? Like, that would be super cool. Because I had a Jedi in the motion comic that I just made up. It was just an original character. And I was like, yo, this could totally be Obi-Wan. I didn't actually say yo. I never say yo. I don't think I can pull off yo.
You just did, so you're right.
Well, thank you. You sound ultra cool. So I just asked James if he'd be willing to be in it, and James was just like, yeah, I'll do everything you need. And he did every voice.
He voiced every voice. That's so cool.
He voiced everyone. Yeah.
I will link people to that video on this one because it's really fun to watch. And it features Captain Fordo.
Right, I think that was the whole point of the story.
Yeah, that was the whole point of that story.
Yeah, so it was all Fordo. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this little bust here.
Okay.
What do you think? Okay, so what I did a second ago, the reason it looks so light is because over here on the right side, I lowered the opacity to about 40-45%, whatever you're comfortable with. Now I'm going to start create a new layer, and I'm going to, you can hit D on the keyboard, and what that does is it changes whatever colors you have that you're using, your foreground and your background color, to black and white. Those, the D stands for default.
Nice. I love shortcuts.
Yeah, that actually is a nice little shortcut to have. So the type of brush I'm also using, let me see if there's an easy way to show you. So I have my shape dynamics set to pen pressure, meaning depending on how hard I'm pressing on my stylus, you're gonna get a thick to thin line going on here.
Nice.
So if I'm pressing real light, it's gonna be like super small like that. If I push harder, it's gonna be nice and thick. And depending on how hard or how light you're pressing, you're gonna get different line weights, which is really nice for inking.
It just looks better that way.
It does.
It
It looks better than like, so
yeah.
if we shut that off, now it just looks like this, and it's like a squiggly, weird
Yeah,
mess.
and if you
Which-
draw your entire outline like that, it's just gonna... It doesn't look as professional or as good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also a plugin that I am gonna talk about real quick called
Do it.
Lazy Nizumi. What they do, and this isn't sponsored by them, obviously. It's just tool that I use a lot and really love using. But they have like a lot of smoothing things. So sometimes you get some weird artifacts when you're doing it. So like, I don't know how well you can see it. There's like a little bit of, it's just like not as nice as it could be.
Sure.
But if you turn on that smoothing, like everything is gonna be like much smoother. So you can see the difference right there and how smooth.
Yes, I love
the
it.
one.
I love it.
So I might use it here depending on how much trouble I'm having with getting some of these lines right. But for now, I'm gonna shut it off and put it on the side.
I will also throw a link to Lazy Nizumi at the bottom
Yeah,
of this.
Those guys are great, and if you tweet them, they are sure to respond to you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Whether you have questions or whatever. Yeah, they're very hands-on with their community. They've answered me quite a few times, so I'm a big fan of them, and I'm always happy to throw some attention their way.
Yeah, especially with my tablet, I feel like it really helps when I'm drawing.
Yeah. So, I guess it depends on what kind of look you want to go for. If you want like a messy ink look, if you want a clean look. I like to go for really, really clean lines. So what I'm actually going to do is kind of a trick. Since we're looking straight on at this helmet, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to focus on getting one side of the helmet correctly.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to duplicate it and flip it so that it's all symmetrical.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with, I'm going to draw on it just to show it to you. I'm going to start doing all of these over here.
Okay.
And then once we flip that, then I'm going to have one like perfect sphere on the top to make sure that that's correct. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use the straight line tool. I think I'm going to, if you use the bracket keys, so on your keyboard, the P key, to the right of that, there's open bracket, close bracket. And if you're looking up here, while I'm on this tool, the numbers change if you go left on the left bracket key, and then they get larger if you go on the right one.
Okay.
So it just helps you, if you press and hold it, you can get thicker ones faster. If you press and hold the left side, they'll get smaller faster, depending on what size you're using. So since we're drawing pretty big, I'm going to go 15 pixels for these lines for now. And then I'm going to try to just get something that looks remotely okay. Sometimes it is nicer to just go in with your brush tool if that's something you want to do. Don't ever feel like that's not allowed. Like I'm using it right now just to get just a little bit more of a point on this line, because sometimes it's a little bit harder. And since I'm using that stylus, all I have to do is flip that stylus around, and all of a sudden I have an eraser.
Okay. Just another reason to get one of those.
Yeah, but you should. You
mine
also
does
have
that
a tablet,
Mine
right?
does that too.
Yeah, so that shouldn't be anything
That's fine.
out of the ordinary for you.
For those who want to know, what size is your canvas right now?
The digital canvas?
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe we did image inside. Yeah, we just did 5x7.
Okay.
But I'm working at 300 DPI. I try to always work at 300 DPI, just in case I ever end up liking it. And then the reason that is 300 resolution pixels per inch or dots per inch is basically the smallest you can work to print something later.
Sure.
So if I love this later and I decide, okay, I want to make this a postcard or something, because I did it at 300 DPI, I'm not going to have any trouble doing it that way. You can work larger, but any smaller than that, if you try to print it, it's going to come out either really blurry if you blow it up, or it's going to print really small. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Because Photoshop isn't vector, if you did it smaller, you'd basically have to draw it all over again.
Right, well, you get to teach the vector class that I'm going to teach. 'Cause I don't know any, like, I'm so bad with
is that
those.
the deal? I'm going to teach
Yeah.
you vectors? Okay.
I'm totally down for that. I'm really bad with Illustrator.
Yeah, I do a lot of work in Illustrator because that's what you make logos in. If you're not Joe, Joe likes
That's
to
how
do
real
it.
artists make their money, in graphic design. So
Yeah, I don't know.
that's why you know Illustrator.
I don't know
'cause
about that.
you're the true modern day artist.
No.
I'm one of those losers clinging to the past with my cartoons.
You know, I'm having a lot of fun learning to draw in Photoshop.
That's good.
It's a good time.
I actually really like Photoshop. I mean,
Me
obviously,
too.
I use it all the time, but like, I honestly think it's a very viable option. And for those of you that can't afford a Cintiq and a desktop and Photoshop and like, you know, Photoshop is a monthly fee now, so it's, you know, it gets expensive, which I absolutely understand, and you know, it's rough. It's rough. It's very expensive, but I think there is an alternative that is pretty close to everything you can do in Photoshop. Yes. If you purchase an iPad Pro and you spend $100 on the Apple Pencil, and then you spend, I believe it's $5 or $6 for a program called Procreate. Procreate is very, very, very close to Photoshop's capabilities.
Okay.
Like I can do like 95% of the things that I do in my work in Procreate, which is
Okay.
pretty awesome, all things considered. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, so I don't know if you guys caught that or not. The reason, I'll just do it again, just so I can explain it. So I have these lines here that I want to add, these little details on the sides of the helmet. But as you can see, I'm using the eraser and nothing's happening. But if I do it here, those go away. That's because what I decided to do was, you know, even though I'm inking on this layer, I created another layer to then go in, make the edits that I want to make, you know, have like the beginning of those.
Yeah.
And now I can erase where I want to erase without affecting the lines that I don't want to change.
This is why we love layers, guys.
Yeah,
We
layers
love
are
layers.
amazing.
Yeah.
Layers are amazing. You take advantage of them. They're very important.
They are our friends.
Right. So now I have this layer and this layer, but I want them all on one. So the best way to do that is to collapse those layers. And the way to do that is you go to the layer on top that you want to, you know, crush down to that next one. And for PC, it's Control E, and it basically just merges all the way down.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a neat little trick to have. So now we have all that stuff on one layer right where we want it. All right, so we're gonna just keep going here with getting the mouth correct. We're probably gonna have to do a little bit of editing later in terms of the visor and all that stuff.
Sure.
You will see all of that. I'm not gonna rush through that.
You don't rush Captain Fordo, Joe.
No,
You don't rush him.
we don't do that here.
No.
We don't believe in that.
No.
All right, this is turning out pretty good. I would say this is probably ready to flip
All
at
right.
this point. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold the Control key and I'm gonna hit J. And what that does is it created two of the same layer. So you see how I have both of them shut off? If I turn this one on, it shows up. If I shut it off and turn the other one on, it's the same thing. So if we have them both turned on, you can't really see it because it's the same layer on top of the other.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up to Edit, Transform, and Flip Horizontal. And what that does is that flips that same layer over there. And now what I can do is I can click on the Move tool. And if I press and hold Shift, I can then drag it over to the left. And now it looks like this cool little symmetrical helmet that we got going.
Holding shift was making it stay on the same level, right?
Yes. Depending on what plane you're dragging. So if you were to press and hold Shift and drag up, it's going to go up.
Yep.
If you press and hold it and go left to right, it's going to go left to right. Or you can go up, down, you know, whatever you want to do.
Cool.
Yep. I went a little too far back. Okay, so horizontal, Shift, hold, drag over here. And I'm just going to line it up where I think it looks good.
Okay.
So I guess right here is pretty okay. If you want to be really thorough, the best way to really do it is to zoom in. So it looks like there's a little bit of editing that I missed doing before I actually flipped this, but no worries, that's something we could probably do pretty easily. What I don't like is this little artifact over here. So what I am going to do is I'm going to Control E on the top layer again, so now it's all one layer. I'm going to go in with the marquee tool. And this is just specifically for this. I mean, you can use it if you want to use it like this might not be a problem that you have if you're doing it the same way, but for whatever reason we had it. So what I did was a marquee tool is basically creating a selection. So this dotted line is going to select all that stuff, and basically anything you do is only going to be affected in that area, right?
Right.
So you can do all this, not that you would want to, but essentially what I did was I selected the area that I didn't like, and then I hit the delete key and got rid of it. So I don't want to do that. In case you do, by the way, if you do make a mistake, Control-Alt-Z is your undo, and depending on how many steps backwards you have calibrated in the history thing, which I don't have up right now, you can have, I believe, up to 100 or maybe more than that. But I only have 25 steps to go back because it just conserves memory a little bit. All right. So this isn't connecting over here, so I'm just going to fill that in a little with the brush tool. And this is looking a little strange, so I'm just going to shave some of that down, shave some of that down, and that already looks a lot better.
Nice.
I'm not sure how I feel about this chin, but because the original sketch was not symmetrical, I'm going to shut off that just to get a better look at what I'm dealing with here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to try to line those same things up and just bring them a little bit closer together. Do my best to do that. Okay, so that looks pretty okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one that looks right about here, and then create that little bottom chin part that Fordo is, and every clone.
And every clone.
So this does look a little funny. It does look a little off to me. I don't know if it was for whatever reason it's not like perfectly symmetrical. But whatever, it gives it character. Sometimes
exactly.
You just gotta,
doesn't it?
just gotta roll.
If it's too perfect, it doesn't look right, you know?
Well, sometimes it does.
I'm trying to help you out here, man.
See, that does look a little silly. I honestly, I'm not sure why that happened, but because I did duplicate it. But you know what? I'm just gonna thicken this a little bit so the angle's a little closer. And if I didn't call attention to it, you probably wouldn't even notice it. But now everyone knows that I'm a big shit.
Everyone knows.
Okay,
You know,
so I'm pretty happy with.
Looks good.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So what I am gonna do is I'm going to merge those down again, so it's all one big layer. And I'm just gonna shave a little bit off, any leftover artifacts that I don't want sticking out there. All right. So I'm gonna turn that drawing layer back on because I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to create a new layer. And what I'm gonna do now, I think I do want the little. I don't want these to be perfect, these lines. I want these to be a little bit sharper.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that. And then I'll do one of these. And we're gonna use that marquee tool again to shave off the very top. So now it has that like nice pointy edge.
Nice straight edge.
Yep. So that looks pretty neat. Okay. Now for the fun part. We gotta get that perfect dome.
Oh, this is my favorite.
There's a couple ways to do this. Is it really?
No. No, because you're gonna have to be
there's a couple of
really
ways.
Precise.
Yeah. Or well, there's a couple of ways.
Okay.
So
okay.
what we can do, sometimes I don't really typically make my clones, a perfect sphere. What I like to do is actually have this like weird little angular shape.
Okay.
I just think it looks cool. So I did it that way, and now what I can do is I can duplicate that again. And just move that over. And there we go. It looks pretty good. It looks
being
neat,
all
right?
clever. I love it.
Pretty neat. So that gives it a nice shape. So I actually do like that, but I'm going to shut that off for now so I can show you the other ones.
Okay.
So we create another layer. What we do is we go over to the ellipse tool. That is, it might be the last thing over here. You might have a line tool, custom shape tool. Don't forget that you guys have a lot of tools underneath these. So if you don't see anything, just try to pay attention to what the position is of something that I'm grabbing. So I've been using the line tool this whole time, but now we're going to use the ellipse tool. So Allison, I'm curious. Do you know what we have to do before I get a path with this instead of just filling it in? What do you think would happen right now if I made an ellipse right now, based on what was happening with the line tools before?
It's gonna make a filled-in circle.
Correct. That's
Yeah.
absolutely correct. That's not what we want to do.
No, we don't want
That is helpful sometimes, but that's not what we're going for now. What we do want is we want just that line going around that way, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go up here where it says pixels, hit that drop down, and then you're going to hit path. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a, I know it's not a vector, but it's pretty close. Like it's...
Whatever.
I think the way these things work is similar to vector, where it's like all, calculates the math and everything.
Okay.
And basically, you're just going to put that wherever it looks right. I'm actually realizing now that this rectangle is not in the correct symmetrical part, so I think I will move that over later. But right now, we have our ellipse where we want it. We positioned it. If you... I'll do it again just because there is some shortcuts that you probably want to know. So if you just drag and hold it, it's gonna get crazy. It's gonna look like a mouth like mine that just doesn't stop flapping. Where you want a perfect one, right? So that's super hard to do. Let's say you drag it in the wrong spot, right? You start it in the wrong spot. Now you can't get it to line up where you want it to go. That's because you're not using your shortcuts. So if you press and hold the space bar, all of a sudden you can move it.
Excellent.
So you can move it into the position that you want it. So let's say we want to...
That's not a perfect circle now.
That's not a perfect circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to press and hold the shift key.
What?
And now when you're pressing and holding the shift key, you got that perfect circle. And if you get it to about the size you... Oh, moving the camera a little too... Sorry. So when you get it to about the size you want it, now you can press and hold the space bar and position it to where you want it to go. And if you keep holding the shift key, it's going to stay as a perfect circle.
Okay.
So let's say we're pretty happy-ish with this right here. Right?
All right, let's say that.
So I'm going to let it go. I'm going to press the B key, which is the brush tool. And I do think it's a little large because right now I have it at 20. So I'm going to bring it down to about, let's see. The best way to do it is just to judge how big your other lines are. So right about here, 15 looks about correct.
Okay.
And now, with that path selected on a new layer, with the brush tool, you're just going to hit the enter key. And all of a sudden, you got a circle going on
It's magic!
That's
Photoshop
right.
is magic.
It is magic.
Yeah.
Photoshop is magic. So, in order to get rid of this quickly, if you hit the P key, that's actually the pen tool. And then you just hit enter. For whatever reason, hitting enter on the pen tool makes the path disappear.
Okay.
I didn't program it that way. It makes no sense to me. I just know that it does that.
Okay.
So I never really use the pen tool super often. Okay, so like I said before, I'm not really happy where the position for this is. So I'm going to select the layer that it's on, which is that layer 2 for me. I'm going to make a selection over here. And then I'm going to get the move tool. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard to position it to, where it looks about right.
Which doesn't affect the circle layer because that's on a different layer.
Because we did that on a totally different layer.
Because Joe was
right.
smart.
So we had that selection, and now we want to get rid of that selection. Control D is deselect.
Okay.
So remember, regular D is change your colors to default. Control D is to deselect a selection that you're making with one of the many marquee tools. So now we have this big dumb circle, right? Let's get rid of the stuff we don't need.
Okay.
So we're going to go back to the brush tool. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to use my right bracket to make the eraser tool larger, just so I can just do it real quick. I don't have to zoom in. I won't miss any of the details doing it that way. And we get that little part that's inside the fin. We can get rid of that. I actually think I want to move that fin up a little bit. So I'm going to go back to this layer and just push it out.
Is that fin specific to Fordo's helmet?
No, all the Phase 1 troopers
have
a little fin on top. So let's get rid of the sketch and see. Yeah, that looks like a clone to me. Looks pretty good.
I don't know. I think I liked your first non-circle one better.
I do too.
Yeah. Let's use
so
that one.
We're gonna give it a little bit. But I'm glad we did it the other way just to show people how to do it. If they want to make it more, screen accurate.
Sure.
I think it gives it a little bit more personality. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to merge that. And I'm going to delete that layer that we are no longer using. And then I'm going to turn this back on. Alright, so I think I'm going to reposition the sketch a little bit so that it's a little bit more looks pretty good. Okay. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go back to my line tool, and don't forget we're on path right now, so we're going to go back to pixels. So now I'm going to add this antenna. I'm going to be pretty quick about it.
Sure.
Do you have any questions, by the way? Like, I don't want to just do it my way.
I'm asking as they come to me.
Alright, cool.
Good.
Sounds good. 2 minutes. Alright, it's a little big. Erase that artifact. And because we're going so symmetrical here, I'm gonna go straight instead of that slanted one that I had earlier.
And if viewers have questions that I'm not asking, they can ask in the comments. I will bug Joe about it and get answers for you.
I will be more than happy to answer any questions that any of you have. Thank you for watching, by the way. Hopefully this isn't super boring with me just talking and being
I find it super useful, so I'm gonna speak for our viewers.
You're welcome,
Be
everyone.
like, yes, I like it.
So I think the correct way to do it is to be slanted out a little bit.
Okay.
Sometimes I just do them like straight up and down, but I also think this looks nicer depending on how stylized you go.
I like the slant.
Yeah, gives it a little character. All right, looking good, looking good.
It's looking like a clone.
Looking like not just any clone, looking like the man himself.
The best clone. I don't
Now
know.
you're just playing into
I don't know.
trying to make it
I
happen.
haven't officially. I really like Rex. I really like Cody and Fives.
They're both.
So you
They're
know.
Okay, so you don't have to do this. Again, don't feel like you're, I'm pressuring anybody to go do this. But because I know I'm going to be doing a very, very wide curved line here,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to turn on this smoothing thing.
Okay.
Just because I know it's going to look nice. So I have a new layer, and I'm going to do the same kind of thing I've been doing before. Just one of those things where... Oh, this guy's got to go away. That's cool. What's nice is you can do it a little bit slower and still get that curve, because if I were to do that line without it, it's gonna be like all kinds of
a little
weirdness.
bit wonky. Yeah.
Look how wobbly.
Yeah.
Look at this wobbly sausage over here.
This is why we love Lazy Nizumi.
Awful. Lazy Nizumi, you guys are the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the line that I just got with them. So pretty sure I shouldn't need them for anything else.
Looks good.
So I'm gonna create another layer, even though this one is just that. I'm gonna create another one, and I'm gonna do all these other lines that are going to essentially be perpendicular to those, so that this way when I erase, see how easy that was? It looks
so easy.
super crisp and looks great. There's no artifact. I think I can do
Now,
that.
you'll see Joe doing the undo button like 1 or 2 times every so
Or
often.
20.
When I do it, it is like 20 times. Like, I can tell you've done this so much because you only do it once or twice.
It's it's just one of those things where, like, if you do anything enough times, you're gonna remember it, and your
Sure.
muscle memory is gonna just
Sure.
it just gets easier the
Yep.
more you do it.
The more you do it.
It's not a matter of skill, it's a matter of repetition. That just means I made a lot of mistakes in the past. So I'm pretty good at correcting them now.
That is how you learn.
Jake the dog once said, sucking at something is the first step to being kind of good at something. And that's one of my favorite Adventure Time quotes ever.
Excellent.
So,
Of course,
and
you
that
bring
is-
Adventure Time into this. Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
Adventure Time is in my DNA.
Hmm.
It's one of those things where, like, drawing is just like anybody can do it. Drawing is an acquired skill. A lot of people are like, oh no, you gotta have talent. Like, no, you don't.
You
Like,
just-
anyone can learn how to draw.
You just
Anybody.
work
can
at
learn.
it.
Exactly.
Work at it. That
Exactly.
applies to a lot of things, actually.
Drawing is all repetition.
Yeah.
100%. Alright, so I'm just cleaning up these lines here. And we're almost done with the inking phase, which we're gonna be getting to my favorite part soon.
The
And I
coloring,
think it's your favorite part.
it's
I
also
think
my
it's your
favorite
now,
part.
right? Yeah, it's grown on you since you started.
I don't know if it's because I'm bad at the inking part, though. Maybe once I get better at the inking part. But I love the coloring part.
Yeah, I'm with you. Inking is actually my least favorite part, even though it's
Yeah.
so, like, important for my, I don't want to say important, but like it's so, it's like a trademark of my style.
Sure, yeah.
Because like I just like having bold lines. I think they just look nicer that way.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while I go for like the Samurai Jack look with there's no lines.
Nice.
But those don't usually turn out as good. That's usually just for fun.
I've seen some of your stuff like that. I like it. But I do like the bold lines is kind of your thing. I do like
It is. It's a hallmark
Yeah.
for me. Don't sue me, Hallmark. Trading company. Card company,
We'll
whatever.
just beat that out later.
Right. There you go. Post-production. Works wonders. Okay, so I think these lines actually aren't thick enough. Almost done. Almost done. Almost to the good stuff. So, I'm curious, how cold is it there right now?
I haven't been outside, so not
Right.
sure. It looks kind of windy.
Because, like, here...
yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for viewers who don't know, I'm in Canada, so
Mhm.
it tends to be colder.
Oh, are most of your viewers not... I just figured... Because
Some-
you're,
some
like,
of them might not
such
be.
a head honcho and
Oh, yeah. Everyone knows who I am. Don't even need
you're
to
the boss.
bother saying.
You're the boss.
Yeah. Why is it cold in New York right now?
It doesn't know what it wants to be, and that's why I'm getting really frustrated. And I'm going to Celebration Orlando in, oh man, 2 days. And
It's so soon. By the time this is
warm.
on the internet, it will be over.
Oh,
Joe
man.
will have been to Star Wars Celebration.
and I'll be post-con blues right now.
Yeah. Post-con blues. They're the worst.
It'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, so it's like 81 degrees there
Wow.
right
okay.
now. So
Okay.
that's going to be a shock to my system. I really hope I don't get sick. Because like every time the weather changes here in New York, I get pretty sick. But it's always gradual. So I don't know. I don't know what to
Also,
expect.
at conventions, there's just so many people giving you germs, you know.
Right.
So,
Con gunk.
Yep.
Absolutely.
con crud. Yeah.
Con crud, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with this. What do you
I
think?
like it.
Are you
I
happy
like
with
it.
Are
I'm
you
happy
move
with
on? You know what? I
I-
did forget one detail.
Okay.
This part of Fordo's antenna is all black, excuse me. So I'm just gonna fill it in real quick. I made a selection. Alt backspace fills in whatever your foreground color is, and Control backspace fills in whatever your background color is. So if I change my mind later, like, oh no, that's supposed to be white, there you go. But no, we run it all black.
Stay tuned for Joe doing a lot more of that when we enter the coloring phase.
Which is right
Which is
now.
right now.
Or next episode, I don't know. How are you
Depends.
splitting this up?
Depends.
I've
if
been
we
going
split
for a
this
while.
up. We might
Alright.
start a new episode here.
Alright, in that case, thank you for listening to me ramble, and we'll see you next time, I hope.